I am such an awesome guy. I make so many videos.
Hello there, Price of Reason here with a series review. She-Hulk continues to be one of the worst shows ever made, but somehow it manages to get worse with every episode. Episode 7 continued its steep decline with a series of random scenes stitched together without much of a cohesive plot. The episode starts with a montage of Jen preparing for a date with supportive simp, including her doing a shot of whiskey, replacing a magazine on her side table with a book, and taking selfies. So basically, acting more like a 20-year-old TikToker and less like a successful lawyer that used to be the assistant district attorney. Anyhow, the big moment arrives and supportive simp shows up in a convertible to pick her up. Then they go eat at what appears to be a dump, and at the end of their first official date, they only shake hands. The next day at the office, during a conference meeting, supportive simp texts Jen that they should go to a food truck and dip fries into a milkshake. So basically, he wants to take her to another cheap date, and Jen loves the idea, as many women would, so she texts him back some stupid emojis.
Wait a minute.
Remember how in episode 2, Jen said that none of the men at this law firm work as hard as she does? Well, until now, while at the office, she's played around on Tinder, watched videos of her nemesis, skipped town to go to a wedding of a person she doesn't talk to anymore, and now she's tuning out of important meetings so that she could text her simp friend. With this show's logic, she'll probably make partner next episode. Also, I have a feeling that there's some random guy in the Philippines now sitting in his basement that's very proud of this CGI shot that he put together in 5 minutes. I mean, Jen usually looks like Shrek, but she's especially Shreky here. Also, what happened to the suit that the secret tailor made her? Wasn't there a whole episode dedicated to getting her clothes? Where are they? Or is this supposed to be it? Anyhow, Jen and supportive simp go to a flea market and once again part as friends, although Jen immediately regrets not inviting him in. After all, he did buy her some junk food. But have no fear, supportive simp is persistent, and now he takes her on another date to a drive-in, and she's completely sold. This time, when the date ends, she invites him inside. But when she wakes up, supportive simp is gone. She tries texting him, but he doesn't respond. Is it possible that supportive simp isn't as supportive as she had initially thought? Next, Jen goes to the office in a suit that looks better than her usual suits, although no explanation is given if this is the top secret tailor suit or not. At one of the only times where I've laughed out loud while watching this series, Jen's cheerleader paralegal friend tells Jen that she's been nominated for Best Female Lawyer of the Year. I mean, aside from Tim Roth's parole board hearing and a trial against a magician that was settled out of court, she hasn't really done anything, so why would she ever be nominated for such an award? Anyhow, Jen's cheerleader paralegal friend asks her if she's looking at the toxic man-baby forum where toxic men are plotting against her, and Jen says that she's not worried about them, but still waiting to hear from supportive simp. Another day goes by, and Jen is very annoyed that supportive simp isn't getting back to her. She keeps checking her phone, but nothing. Finally, on Sunday, she gets a call, but it's actually Tim Roth's parole officer. It turns out that Tim's inhibitor isn't working properly. The parole officer asks Jen to join him as She-Hulk in case Tim Roth has turned into the abomination and needs to be restrained. Since Tim Roth is now living on his yoga retreat, Jen drives out there to meet his parole officer, and she keeps checking her texts while driving and singing annoying songs. Once she arrives, Tim Roth says that the inhibitor may have received a jolt of electricity when he was trying to remove a chicken from an electric fence.
What is this?
The parole officer somehow easily fixes the inhibitor, even though it's likely a complicated piece of technology that he shouldn't even know how to operate. After the parole officer leaves, Tim Roth walks Jen to her car when suddenly 2 people brawling end up seriously damaging it. Jen stops one of them, and it turns out that he's half man, half bull, and the person he's fighting looks like a matador. Tim Roth says that his retreat is a safe place and that they're just working out their personal differences. Jen is pissed that they ruined her Toyota Prius Prime and an obvious sponsorship plug that will probably result in a 0% increase in Prius sales for Toyota. Manbull apologizes for ruining her car, and the Matador tells Jen that although he looks like a matador, he's actually a swashbuckler.
What the f*** is this?
Tim Roth explains that Manbull has always been treated like he's an affront to nature, and the Matador represents all the people that wanted to hurt him. Jen says that this is too much unnecessary backstory, which, while true, doesn't really excuse any of this nonsense we're seeing on screen. If I had to analyze this insufferable scene, I'd say that it's either some type of allegory for transitioning, or the writers of this show have just been doing too much crystal meth. Or maybe both. Anyways, since her car is now undrivable and needs to be towed, Tim Roth tells Jen that she should use this opportunity to relax and get spiritual consultation from him. He even has a sweat lodge where she can cleanse herself or some shit like that. Jen tells him that she's not interested and just needs Wi-Fi and a desk, but he tells her that there is no Wi-Fi and no phone reception at his retreat, and leaves. Jen then walks around for hours searching for phone reception, but somehow ends up at Tim Roth's therapy session, where a bunch of weirdos are talking about their feelings. Suddenly, one of the 4 people that attacked her in episode 2 joins the session, and Jen beats him up, but Tim Roth tells her that he's a reformed man, so she immediately forgives him. Wasn't this guy the leader of a shady group that were trying to get Jen's blood? Why would he be at this retreat right now? If he really was a reformed man, why wouldn't he tell her that somebody was after her?
Hey, don't worry about that. Take a load off. Don't think about it. Look over here.
Anyhow, Jen talks about having trouble with her double identity, and the group tells her that they like her as is and that she's the best. So she transforms into Jen again and goes to the sweat lodge to cleanse herself. In a final twist that every single person saw coming from miles away, the show time reverses to 3 days earlier. Turns out that after their encounter, while Jen was sleeping, supportive Simp copied the contents of her phone, secretly took a picture of her lying naked, and then used the toxic man-baby forum to confirm that he's drawn her blood. So it turns out that he's not really a supportive Simp after all. He's actually an evil simp. When this episode was done, I couldn't help but think, how does this show cost $25 million an episode to produce? What do they spend it on? The CGI is either minimal or looks like a 20-year-old video game. The story is nonsensical. If I had to briefly sum up the plot of the episode in a few sentences, I'm not even sure that I could at this point because it's just a random assortment of nonsensical scenes. Even amidst all of my criticism, I still want to say that I think Tatiana Maslany is an exceptional actress, which makes this all the more frustrating. I can't recall the last time I saw an actress try so hard to make a show work, even when given some of the worst screenplays ever written. And not to sound condescending, but if you asked me to write a series with a $25 million budget featuring Tatiana Maslany and Tim Roth, I would have certainly come up with something better than this. It's almost as if somebody's making an effort to write something this bad. With only 2 episodes left, I can't help but dread the moment that Charlie Cox as Daredevil will appear on this show. I mean, aside from completely ruining his character, what could they possibly do with him? I guess we'll find out soon enough. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to my channel and also clicking on that wonderful notification bell. Thanks for watching, my friends. Thank you, and good day.
I am such an awesome guy. I make so many videos. Boom.